Hey everybody, this is Way to Fail, back with more Lords of the Realm, and you can see that while my green empire is barely hanging on before being shoved off the tip of England, there's a huge battle going on in the middle. So let's actually clear and clean up the map real quick and see what everything looks like. Just to give you a breakdown, you can see the bishop being about as weak as I am, but has a really strong foothold in the south. The countess being constantly attacked and whittled away in the middle. The Earl currently in trouble as well. And then we have up here the knight and barons sort of trying to fight for supremacy in the north. I'm not sure why there is constant beeping in the background, so I hope that isn't something that persists throughout this episode, but I apologize if it is. So yeah, I'm gonna have to stop this again. Alright, so hopefully that's fixed, but anyway, you can see the little pips here. This is where the armies currently stand, and it's a little hard to see them when they're over the county, but what can you do? And here are the battles. You can see there are a lot of recent battles, especially in this line. I'm not exactly sure what you call it. If you know your English topography better, you can tell me. You can see the castles that are up here as well. There's a lot of castles in the middle because the Earl and Countess are kind of your big castle makers. You see the knight not having that many. I have one that I haven't even started on. The bishop has 3 in all of his counties. That'll be done pretty soon. So, where we left off last time, there's a huge fight going on for Cambridge, and I have 3 armies in there. 1 good combined arms forces, 1 set of mercenaries, and I have 1 other set of Danes swooping in. And I think what's really interesting to me is that the knight looks like he's coming in to swoop and take an attack of opportunity to try and take the county, but he didn't attack the Earl when he could have, so that tells me that maybe they're in cahoots. And this could be my last episode of the series. So let me just go through and make sure that I've managed my county as much as I need to, because I am starting to finally get enough people and enough happiness. Unfortunately, by having to conscript my armies, first off, my income's super low because of just straight up just having to pay your mercenaries. Armies are not cheap. I have another actual set of Swedish swordsmen there who are currently standing on this county because the Earl's made some movement down here and I don't want him to come and attack me. But I would like to take Cambridge. This is going to be a really easy castle to siege, so maybe we'll actually see a siege today if I can actually get it together. But there's the Earl going to take on the Baron and take a county back. And the Countess is doing some really weird marching thing. It's almost like the AI is just either disimproved in 10 years of this game playing, or I just don't remember all of these weird movements, which is equally possible because when I played this game it was me happily as a kid with a blind eye to things that, as we're all older and the gaming industry is maturing, we pay attention to. So that's interesting. First off, that's interesting that the Baron attacked that county and chose not to take it. Weird. Also, it looks like someone tried to hurt the knight, so I could potentially split my forces and try and take on that county as well. I don't know how big that army is, but if there's ever a time for me to try and take on the knight, this is probably it. So I'm going to have to see how this battle goes. So what we're going to do here is start by, well, let's see here. I really want to attack the knight, but I don't think it's going to let me from this position. But fortunately, the Earl threw his forces at the knight's army, so I am a little happy about that. So let's go ahead and, oh, wow, why can't, oh, the knight's the one sieging. I probably should have paid attention to the pop-ups there. Okay, well, I don't know how many forces the knight has, but I definitely want to be the one taking that castle, not him. So we are actually going to let's force the hand a little bit. Let's start with county management. I'm being a little indecisive, I know. But my people are pretty happy. I am losing a sheep no matter, well, no, not no matter what. I gotta actually get my people back to work. So no mercenaries, not a lot of money to hire them. am looking to throw away some of my armies just a little bit. As I don't have any weapons, I did try and combine my armies last time. And this place is still very happy with double rations, so hey Bernard Slappy Fist. Do I have enough population to make ale worthwhile? Probably not that worthwhile, as we get even more possible Swedish swordsmen that I can just keep throwing at things. So in fact I will buy 1 cask of ale, 57's worth it. And I'm going to get some more Swedish swordsmen, because I think having a bunch of tiny armies, while expensive in terms of upkeep, can pay some pretty significant dividends, and I'm going to have a lot of wool to sell in the next turn, assuming we get what we want. So I don't know how big that army is, and I don't know if it's mostly peasants. But we are going to... Is this my biggest army right now? Yeah. So we are going to attempt to break this siege, and then possibly siege it ourselves next turn. So I can't select sieging the castle because we're not there. So 314 versus 364, and this is maybe the best position we can be in, other than actually having a swamp to hide these people in. They're very high morale, but they only have a few swordsmen. I'm going to put my throwaway peasants and swordsmen in first, and they're going to be my meat shields. It means I'm going to need to bring in a lot more units just to try and help bust the siege. So let's go ahead and get you all up here. I mean, my troops are very happy right now, and we're going to try and keep them that way. I would like to have more swordsmen, but I'm going to need to put some more peasants here just to maintain the siege, which is okay, as long as I can get my crossbowmen safe. So let's hear. Normally I like to have distraction peasants going first, but today with the swordsmen, with everybody else here, we just want to make sure that these forces... Oh, my peasants are upset. I would be too. It's like, wait a minute, that is a huge wall of forces. So I've just got to try and demoralize them before my troops get demoralized. As right now, it looks like all those guys are either running or going after me. So I hope they don't engage my crossbowmen. And it looks like they're going to, so I'm going to lose some crossbows, unfortunately, but I am really winning this fight, as crossbowmen do terrible melee damage. But here we go. Still knocking down his forces. I'm going to offer quarter right now. And they're going to fight to the last man, they say. Oh, damn it. Okay. What really sucks about that is that I don't think I can siege the castle right now. So we're going to... Nope. Nope. Oh, and I can't fight either. Ah, stupid archaic game with your shit. Okay, well, I'm going to work my way up towards the knight's border in this case. And we're going to see if maybe I can work this out next turn. Because I'm going to need to raise some of my own forces to supplement that army. So let's go ahead and move you guys over here. No, you can't combine those armies. I don't think. Because I believe, yeah, those are just mercenaries too. Now, with extra forces in here, I'm going to take these guys off of double rations right now. But yeah, so old archaic game bugs-ish, not even bugs, just design features, means that I can't fight this. Because I'm standing on the county seat, I can't do a lot of things I want to do. But that's okay. We will just go to our next turn, see if the knight tries to lift his own siege. Yeah, I should have really paid attention to the pop-up there. Because I do want to show you all what sieging looks like, as there's the Earl. Maybe he'll be... oh, there we go. Earl, break it, break it. Yes! I don't know how many forces the Earl has there, but... now the knight is not pleased with what I'm doing. And that's okay. Like I said, we're going on the offensive here. And I don't know if he's really pissing off this county right now. He still hasn't repaired some of the fields that I damaged. Yeah, so pretty interesting times, as most of his forces are concentrated against the Baron, and the Earl is going to march against me soon. I hope so. Because he currently is fighting a three-front war. And if he tries to commit his resources to me, that's going to be a problem. Of course, he can swoop in from the south if he wants. But there we go. The question is, what forces do I want to take this guy on with? Probably first thing is first here. Let's go ahead and... Whoa! I accidentally over double rationed that. Really should have paid attention to my food intake, as we get the possibility of more Swedish swordsmen, but I have enough swords. I can't afford any more swords. So what we're going to do instead, we're pretty happy right now. I'm going to raise 100 peasants. And the reason I'm raising 100 peasants... I know that gives me a little bit of a happiness hit. It actually gave me a 4 happiness hit. Is because I want to drop these guys over here and I want to combine this army. Because I want this is going to be my sieging force. It's going to be bigger. And it's going to help alleviate my population food concern. So let's hear no to combine, yes to combine. We have some more Swedes up here. Let's see what happened here. Fire, things suck. So this is now our high population county, and I don't have any weapons that I can put in, but I've been buying so many mercenaries up that this is pretty much going to be the time. Well, actually, let's see here. Where's my population coming from? Just births and deaths, no immigrants or immigrants. Lost grain stores, but now that I'm on normal ration, as long as I can outpace my population increase, I'll be okay, because this is not where I'll be raising troops from. So what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? I could possibly try and besiege 2 counties of the Earl, but I don't want to get the Baron knocking on my borders, and I don't want to get attacked from the south real hard, if I can avoid it. So we're going to drop another set of forces in here. And we're just going to try and peel the onion, as it were, because we have a few sets of swordsmen. Might as well go for it. 150 versus 48. Oh, okay. Whew. I was like, that's my army. And see, once again, this is where the CPU on this difficulty can raise pretty much whatever forces they want to. It doesn't seem to be taking a happiness hit, because 248 peasants, that is a significant number, and they have, well, their morale's partially high because they did defeat a force of the night, which I also assume was a peasant army. So pretty much all I need to do is just keep throwing units that actually have weapons, which is where I'd love to get Irish spearmen because they're cheap and effective. So here we go. See how fast I'm knocking down his forces. My swordsmen are absolutely mowing through these guys. Only lost 1 to their really big drop of forces. And the morale dropped to 0, so we have a bunch of people trying to run away already. So I'll lose a few swordsmen here, but these units are disposable. This is not my sieging force. So when they get to below 50, there we go. I'm going to offer quarter, and they disperse. So that was totally a just a fun little time of, hey, look, are we going to be finally making a comeback? Is it the summer of 1282? Are we finally making our push? Maybe. So we're going to take on the knight here, because he's sending this force down. Oh my god, 14 people. No way. Offer quarter. I'm not going to kill you guys. I'm not going to waste my time. That's like the biggest bluff ever. I have my army coming. No, you don't. So we're actually going to be doing our own multi-front push here. We're going to piss off two nobles at the same time. This is probably not going to work out too well for us. But we've been leaning back for too long. It's time to be aggressive. Be aggressive. And you see here that I dropped my population a little bit, partially as a food control measure. But this population will bounce back eventually, as you see. How many cows am I going to get? Let's see if I can get up to 6 cows without losing a field. Come on, 6 cows without losing a field. There we go, 6 cows. Most exciting part of Lords of the Realm, managing menus. I know you like that. And I do appreciate you all watching this. I mean, it's been fun to do this. I like interacting with the viewers, doing a viewer's choice like this. And I do have some ideas for other series like this in the near or not so near future. I have a few series that are kind of moving along, kind of drawing towards their natural conclusions, as it were. So I'll just keep that in mind, as here comes the Earl. And what's he? Oh, the Earl's actually not marching against me right now. I don't know if he thinks I'm too threatening, but we're going to see if the knight's going to throw a giant peasant army at me this time. I don't know if he's just going to, if he concedes. Oh wow, the knight. Fool, can't you see how much attention the Baron's paying to you? Okay, the peasants are, wow, so there we go. We went from totally unhappy to super happy people all the time. And the knight, I don't trust a damn word you say, because quite frankly, you're a little bitch and you have backstabbed me too many times. So I actually have some new hopes and aspirations. If I can actually take out the Earl's one giant ball force there, then I can sweep through and take his entire lands. And the Earl manages his lands really well. I don't normally like having this many troops in an area. Let's hear. That's a smart move by the Earl, because that's going to limit my ability to siege his castle. So what do I want to send at this force? I could start by doing this. Here we go. So 308 versus 298. So apparently his armies are dying when he makes them. So his people are unhealthy. You know that because he's only raising 298 people instead of 300. So he's having to limit his rations, probably because I'm parking a bunch of extra people in his area, which sounds really nasty when you think about it, because, yeah, it kind of is. So what I want to know is, do I want to send my forces to try and take on the other peasant armies? Because if you can get enough swordsmen like this, you can carry the day. Right now, this sword army is getting a little weaker. And it could be good to try and combine it with some other forces if I get it, but I'm probably going to keep throwing this. I may send this unit north, actually, to throw against whatever the knight puts at me, to kind of soften up my opponent, or soften him up. Because right now, 150 swordsmen are great against a bunch of peasants, but if I get like 600 peasants at me, which the knight, as you've seen, does. Offer quarter. Whoa, really? So they freaking retreated just as I offer quarter. Like, no, we will fight another day. Yeah, you will. That day's today. So, people from Essex, just get out of here. Just get out. So, see, you want to just let them surrender when they can. As now, look at this map. Look at how it's changed. We suddenly have some victories on our side. The left little sword means victory. Unfortunately, I can't zoom in on the map. So let's go ahead and put our Danes up here. And in fact, what we're going to do as well as we get more church, more population, is we're... Oh, shit. More swordsmen. Well, I can't afford them, but what I can afford to do is to raise 100 more peasants. That's 10% of my population, and I do lose a little bit of happiness. And it kind of sucks to do that around harvest time. But I'll manage. The reason I did that, very simply, is so that I can combine these forces. And I'm not going to do it this turn. But once I start to siege this area, I will want to have some extra peasants. Because, as you'll see with sieging, as this castle, still not terribly difficult to siege because the keep's exposed. As opposed to my perpetually under construction, I should have just named it Half-Life 3. My keep is in the middle. So, unlike the Earl, whose little keep there doesn't really count for anything, what I'm probably going to do here is just try and split my forces, and maybe I do have enough swordsmen to try and push south. But right now I kind of like having this wall to the west, where the Earl can't really quickly respond to things. He is just getting pincered by everybody. But we are going to move our Danish swordsmen north, because I think we're at the point of the game where I really need to start just attacking. And I'm not going to do a full move because I actually want to make sure that I can put my peasants in and combine these forces properly. So we're going to actually go for the siege next turn. So let's go through our county management. Woo! Swordsmen, we already did that. Merchants finally here, so maybe I can afford those swordsmen after all. Our population's screwed right now. What can we do for happiness? Is one cask? Okay, one cask for one happiness. That's not really a great trade. But we are going to start doing our part to crash prices. We have 103 cattle. So we're actually eating pretty good. And I can afford to sell probably 10. Let's sell 15. Because I do want to alleviate some of the field crowding a little bit. Yeah. So it's harvest time. We don't need to harvest as much. We're not going to harvest as much. So let's just go ahead and drop these down. I'm still trying to produce materials. I do want to get away from having all mercenary armies all the time. So the only problem is it costs thousands of money to actually make weapons, and I'm just not there yet. I need to have more population in place. So once I consolidate these lands here, I can do that. So for now, it actually may be smarter for me to get even more Swedish swordsmen. I wish it was Danish swordsmen because they're 200, and they're 200 more. They're 50 more swords for 50 crowns cheaper. So it's like the Danes apparently don't know what they're worth. But for now, what we're going to do is just send our army up. Let me actually go ahead and raise these guys. Because the knight's going to give a pretty significant pushback, and now I actually have an even better besieging force. Because it's 250 people, and my Danish guys can be cleanup units. So 250 people, the loyalty is good. We lose a little bit of happiness there, but not too much to worry about. Because this place has a lot of wool to sell as well. I'm actually not getting a lot of merchants. So as long as the Earl does not march against me, and this could be the turn where he chooses to, I'll be okay. But I know the Earl really is going to be worried about everyone pushing against his lands. And 300 more people. 300 more peasants. This is not in the Hell's Gate. I forget if that's what it's called in the movie. But yeah, you can see his happiness is declining. He's constantly having to raise people. But yeah, if this is just going to be peasant armies the whole time, I'm going to be okay for now. Because yeah, we're just going to be able to smack this down. Alright, so slash, slash, slash. These guys are actually running stupidly away. And now they're going to go for the surround. I've lost a few swordsmen from this group as well, but that's okay. Because apparently Swedish swordsmen keep... excuse me. They keep popping up for me, which does make sense. I am on the eastern coast of England. So it's not that far away. Now, if these guys don't surrender here, what I may have to do is to try and place my arm... There we go. So they won't take surrender. They did kill a few of my swordsmen, so 300 for 14. Doesn't sound so bad, but when they do have unlimited forces... Okay, so even better. Okay, Castle Plimpton... Plimpton, I can't pronounce that stuff. Okay, so the knight's moving. That's really interesting. I don't know why the Baron's not taking that county. But apparently... The knight... Okay, so I've pissed him off a little bit. He knows I'm marching against him. So we're probably going to be starting some dual sieging here in just a little bit. So the Earl's pushing back. Pretty much what this is going to boil down to is how do I want to mess with this right now? Let's start with our counties. Because I don't have more merchants. Can I buy some happy juice? Is it going to be that effective? It won't be that effective. So we're just going to go ahead and sell our wool again. And Bernard Slap actually has pretty good weapon prices. It's like, hey, buddy, I'm drunk. Buy my weapons. So lost some grain stores there, which sucks. But I'm not in a population position where I need grain. And because I keep making armed forces, I'm going to be okay there. And then Death and Panic, that sucks. I only have 9 grain in this county, but I have enough cows to feed everybody for a very long time. Unfortunately, I don't have the population to tend my fields. So we'll just work with all that for now. Yeah, so how are we going to go about fixing this? Let's start by pushing to move up here. And I'm not going to combine these armies because I can't. Like I said before, this is going to be my sieging force. And I probably overextended them. Because I could try and siege with this place. But we're just going to go ahead and park you right on the county chair so that the knight cannot... Oh, damn it. Well, apparently I can't do that either, so I screwed that up again. Not only did I expose the army that I wanted to siege with, but we're gonna do it right this time. We are actually going to do this correctly here. So let's micromanage our forces, because that is a very small army. That is a smaller army. Let's go ahead and drop you all down one. And let's go ahead and actually put my besieging force into besieging. Yes, siege the castle. Yes, Castle Tentacle, the enemy prepares its defense. Or the enemy prepares its something. Alright. So this is the siege screen. It took how many episodes and we're finally doing it. The siege has been levied for 1 season. Now this is pretty much the easiest castle ever to siege. You can drop people down to try and bombard and attack things. But what we're going to do instead is having fighters here. We do want to have some builders because we want to build some things that'll actually destroy what we're trying to fight. So I need 180 builders because I want to make, and unfortunately they do not tell you what necessarily all these things do, but I want trebuchets. trebuchets are by far the most effective, safest way to attack people. So let's see here. If I get foragers, I'll have food. I'll have plenty of food this time, but I can forage a little less, I think. My army's not too huge. But yeah, there we go. Plenty of people here. I believe I do actually need fighters to use my forces, but right now, that's how we're going to start. This is what the castle looks like. We don't really have a use for the strategy screen yet. But yeah, we're sieging castles. And while we're at it, we are actually going to go ahead and try and take these guys out. And that shouldn't be too hard. Offer quarter. Didn't even have to look and see how many there were. So now that I'm sieging the Earl's castle, I've probably set myself up for invasion from the south. Which, if that happens, you know what? That's the ball game. So we're just going to live with it. The Earl is actually... I got to remember here, the Earl is being attacked by the Countess and the Baron simultaneously, unless he's got some non-aggression pact. So let's see how badly I screwed up with the Knight. It's probably going to be my last turn as assault from the Bishop. So the Bishop's trying to attack the Countess down south, it looks like. Yes. And we have the Earl. What's he going to do? Is he going to send his forces? Is he going to try and break my siege? He can actually attack my sieging army from... Oh, no, he can't. So that's a relief. He is one tile away. Actually, don't think there's any counties that can attack straight from one another. I think they adjusted the roads so that you have to march at least one season between people. So as long as Knight doesn't raise armies in this county, which... Okay, garrison holds firm. No attempts are made on the castle, so no attackers killed. We'll get to there next turn. The Earl says, "Your violence leaves me no choice. I shall be revenged for your plundering." The Countess says, "I have word that the Bishop will move against you." That's nice. But hey, look at this. We haven't had a steward report in a while. I think this is a good time to do it. So peasants are up. Average size is up. Happiness is up. Everything's up. We're still last place. The Earl is first place, but we are possibly knocking him down a few notches here in a little bit. The Earl has the most castles. The Earl has the most crowns. I have the least crowns, but I like to think that I've been pumping my resources and stuff, so the Baron has the most counties. The Earl has the most troops, which scares me a little because that says that his big ball of death is gigantic. The Earl has the most people by far, and the happiest people. So I've just pissed off the most powerful noble. That's okay. Because I am going to actually kick his ass, I like to tell myself. So let's see here. What's the Baron doing? Well, maybe you can march from that county to that county in one place. So every time you're sieging now, you're going to see this screen first. You see that we have 4 trebuchets. And what can we do with these trebuchets? Larger than catapults, these powerful machines can be used at greater distances, which is important. Because we want to attack from a distance so that my people do not get hurt. And if I can remember how to do this. I don't know if I actually need... No, I don't need fighters assigned. I don't think. So we'll have these guys just try and bombard this one tower. And if I can take out this one tower... This is where sieging is very different from Lords of the Realm 2. Because it's just very much turn-based strategy. But I want my 4 trebuchets to just try and knock this thing down. You'll see that I have a similar strategy with the Knight's Castle as well. So now I gotta just say, oh shit, I'm gonna get attacked from the south. And what forces do I have? Not a ton. Hey, Weasel Willie, what do you gotta say with your weaselly face? Gospel Court, there's little intrigue to be had. Talk is of peace. I don't know about that. But if I can take the Earl's North lands, that'd be nice. Because right now he's... Oh shit, he's raised 2 army. No, that's my army. What am I saying? Okay, so we're going to have to clean up that mess. We're going to have to clean up this mess. So let me start by doing this correctly. 150 Swedish swordsmen. Some peasants as well. So siege the castle, and here we go. Castle Mornabur. Enemy prepares its defenses. So here we go. We're going to do the same thing we did last time. We have some foragers. We don't need fighters. What we need is builders. And I'm not going to be able to build as many trebuchets because this is not as big of an army. But I will take 3. Now this castle, you do have a keep tacked on the end of it. So pretty much all you have to do is take out the area that has the flag on it. So this is where the AI kind of has some screwed up castle design. But hey, there's some very good castles that you can use as well. More importantly, though, I forgot to mention this last time, the spies guess. And spies are generally pretty reliable here. Their morale's poor, and even though they're happy here, but that poor morale is very nice to see, because that means that the knight is starting to piss off his people. And remember how many houses this county had before in terms of population? Like, this one has 4. My other counties have a lot. This county, actually, I'm not spotting a single house, which means the population is tiny. Maybe the knight's finally tapping out his population, and I can swoop in. If this is a peasant army, I'm going to be so happy. So I cannot combine these armies. This is my Danish swords. So I'm going to actually run this episode. Since it's been a little while since we've done this, I'm going to go ahead and run it a little longer and see if I can end this turn and show you all kind of what happens with sieges. We're going to start by sending our first more vulnerable swordsman, Trim 14 versus the 300 of Bedfordshire. Now the worry about this is that every time I do this, my army's going to get a little weaker because they'll just keep plinking it down. Fortunately, these guys have to walk through marsh, so I'm not going to get surrounded as easily. So as soon as I get closer, they should engage. Should engage is the key word. There we go. So see, their forces are splitting. Those other peasants aren't even here. So let's go ahead and swoop in for the attack momentarily. And here we go. Swoop, my swordsman. So their morale goes up, I guess because they're defending their home turf. It's not going to be their home turf for long. But like I said, it's very interesting to me that the Earl can keep pumping out 300 people, 300 people, 300 people. And this is kind of a scorched earth thing to do as well. If you know you're going to be denied or going to lose an area, you can just deflate the population entirely. But you can see just by positioning and just by this army being split that I'm actually doing very well attacking these forces. I've lost very few swordsmen. And it's like fighting 2 150 person armies instead of 1 300 army. So right there, only 4 swordsmen where I could have lost significantly more. So I'm going to try and get in position in time. I don't think I'll be able to, because these guys are just going to eat it momentarily. And are we in formation? We're in formation. Enough. Let's do this. That one little guy, he is going down. He is definitely going down. So we're just going to keep taking these guys out as they split out onto the marsh, or off of the marsh. Just using the terrain to our advantage as best we can. Gotta say, you get a little embarrassed maybe for some of your swordsmen. They die to people with pitchforks, but not a ton you can do there other than, well, just shrug and say, well, you're dying. So it's one thing that's really amazing to me, though, is that I feel like I have a lot of forces, and they're kind of spread out over areas. I don't have my big ball of death army that I normally like to in this game by now, but that's kind of how the game's gone. I've kind of had to play from behind the curve. We'll see if they can get down to 32, and they retreat. So that's good. I only lost 6 swordsmen. I was expecting to lose more that fight. And that means that I can keep my other people here, and I'm tempted to try and besiege this area too. Just because I do not want the Earl to really have a bunch of places. And on top of that, I can actually defend, or I do have a one county buffer, and the Earl doesn't have a really good connection to places. And actually that does remind me, why the Baron was sitting on that one of these counties and couldn't actually take it was because he did not have a land connection. Or actually, I think he did right there. So that's bizarre. But we are fighting the Earl. He does have some good lands there, and this is going to be the end of the turn. I think I've officially mopped up everything okay. So we're going to see what siege looks like, and then we're going to continue and see if we can stay on the offensive, or if the Earl's going to march and attack me from the south, which he really should do. No, he's going to send another army in right here. So there we go, 300 more peasants. He used to actually send actual armies of actual people. So if I'm just having to fight peasant forces the rest of the game, which I really don't expect to be, could be a little easier here. I don't know. But I'll take on... We're going to lose more than the 4 we lost last time here. But we should do fine. This army is going to be spent pretty soon, though, but that's okay. They've done their job. Their goal is to be kind of blockers and really fight off the other forces so my sieging force can do their job. But yeah, like I said, it's just really interesting to me that with the difficulty being so high, I mean, I don't remember this. I've actually beaten this on the hardest military and hardest gameplay or like land resource stuff. At least I believe I did. I don't remember the other nobles being able to just raise armies like this without having their peasants start to revolt. But yeah, see, without the terrain advantage, I've lost a lot more forces here. But that's okay. My 83 people are really there just to be defenders for my other army. So he can keep sending people at him. They're hired guns. If they die, it actually helps me a little more because it lets me get more income. So the knight, what are you doing? Are you actually going to start backing up and sending other... Oh, he bypassed me. Okay, so the castle... So here we go. No sieging forces. And so the knight's just going straight for attacking the siege. And we're going to see actually what happens here. So 4 attempts to storm the castle. And trebuchet, no losses. What I like about trebuchets is that they go from a distance. January, February, no losses because I'm attacking from such a distance here. So February, trebuchet, no losses. And can I actually take out the tower this turn? Might be next turn. Limited success, no losses. So that's awesome. I didn't lose a single person in my army because I constantly bombarded that tower. So 24 defenders were killed as well. And I lost no attackers there. So the Countess... Oh, the Earl's going to move against me. Well, I beat him to the punch. So there we go. I've gone from having to sit on my heels for... And the Baron's finally taking place. I've gone from sitting on my heels for so long, from being just about shoved aside, to now I actually have a good... Or I have a really good force here. So let's see here. I have food for enough men. I don't need to forage this turn. So we're going to lay down some trebuchets. What's going to be the trouble with these trebuchets is that because this is a keep, this siege is going to take longer. The keep is a much stronger unit. So we're going to have to build probably 6, maybe even 8 trebuchets to try and take this on. But once again, you just drag and drop. You can focus and see where that stuff is. It looks like I'm trying to do an art project. But morale amongst the siege troops is great, perfect health. And their morale is fair, but there's only 13 men left in the garrison, so I don't really need that many more builders. I can't actually go ahead and just forge. I'm not putting down fighters, because fighters are a great way to die. So we're gonna do it this time. We're gonna take this crap out. So here we go. 1. Can you fire from this range? I'm not sure if you can. Nope, barely within range. Cool. So that bombard is going to wreck this castle, which is good. Alright, so there we go. That's about all the trebuchets you need. It'd be nice to move them to another county. But there you have it. I am about to fight the knight a little more. Like I said, this ran a little longer than I meant for it to. But that's nothing. There's nothing wrong with that. This is a fun game, especially when I'm finally starting to be able to turn it around a little bit. As I still don't know why the Earl's sitting there, if he's just thinking it's better to be defensive than to get swarmed by this. But this is Way to Fail with Lords of the Realm. Thank you all for watching, and I'm looking forward to see if I can finally turn this game around. I will see you all next time.